The Book of James by Herb Painter. Session 7, Chapter 2, verses 10 through 14. The slavery of sin. For whoever keeps the whole law and yet stumbles at just one point is guilty of breaking all of it. Verse 10 is most commonly used in personal evangelism situations to establish to an unbeliever that even simple mistakes are a violation of God's law of perfection, and that this violation means that all human beings are sinners in need of personal salvation. While this use is a very accurate and appropriate secondary application, when viewed in context, this clarification about sin is addressed directly to believers and not to unbelievers. While the first books of the New Testament, commonly referred to as the Gospels, were written in Aramaic, most of the rest of the New Testament was written in the Greek conversational language of Koine. Lawbreaker is just another word for sinner. When we disobey God's law, we are a lawbreaker. The word sin in this language is an archery term, hamartia, and means literally to miss the mark. Typical Greek military archery practice was carried out by placing a small mark on the trunk of a tree, walking back 50 paces, and shooting for the mark. Points were not awarded for near misses. The arrow either hit the mark or missed the mark. Pass, fail, hit or miss. Tough stuff. When God refers to sin, he delivers a pass-fail judgment. There are no light sins, no white lies, there are only lies. When it comes to obeying God's law, we either measure up or we don't. When believers appear before Christ's judgment seat, our obedience to his law will be judged in simple black and white terms. We either obeyed or we didn't. 2 Corinthians 5:10. So we make it our goal to please him, whether we are at home in the body or away from it. For we must all appear before the judgment seat of Christ, so that each of us may receive what is due us for the things done while in the body, whether good or bad. It's pretty simple and straightforward, good or bad. When it comes to sin, there is no category for almost or good enough. Sin is a simple determination that the godly standard of behavior of perfection has been missed. Whether the arrow misses the target by an inch or by a country mile makes no difference. We must remember that God is both merciful and just. While he loves us unconditionally, he absolutely hates sin, and sin cannot exist in his presence. In the case presented here, judging or prejudging is just prejudice and an absolute sin. And like all other sin, it is not tolerated in his family. Favoritism of any sort won't be condoned within God's family. Remember, God doesn't hate sinners, he just hates sin. As a child of God, prejudice must be rooted out of all behavior. We represent Christ in this lifetime, and prejudice totally misrepresents him. God alone is the judge. When we prefer one person over another, we assume his role of judging. Not good. James 2:11-13. For he who said, "You shall not commit adultery," also said, "You shall not murder." If you do not commit adultery but do commit murder, you have become a lawbreaker. Speak and act as those who are going to be judged by the law that gives freedom, because judgment without mercy will be shown to anyone who has not been merciful. Mercy triumphs over judgment. The law that gives freedom is the law of liberty. In both cases, believers are freed from the bondage and slavery of the natural man. Prejudices have no place in the believer's life any more than adultery or murder. The law of Moses clearly defined those basic behavior patterns that separated civilized man from barbarians. Lying, cheating, stealing, and the like are pretty much the limit of what man's soul can somewhat control without the power of the Spirit of God. The law of liberty is the law that has been written on our hearts by the Holy Spirit at the time of our new birth. When our spirit was brought to life by the breath of the Holy Spirit, our souls came under new management, and we each were assigned the duty of representing Jesus Christ. When we embrace the life-changing power of the Holy Spirit, we find ourselves losing our prejudices, our discrimination, and the abusive nature of our tongues. Proverbs 10:31-32. From the mouth of the righteous comes the fruit of wisdom, but a perverse tongue will be silenced. The lips of the righteous know what finds favor, but the mouth of the wicked only what is perverse. Controlling human behavior, purifying or sanctifying the soul, is the full-time job of the Holy Spirit, and for most of us, that's a handful. By nature, we are a sinful bunch, but when under the control of the Holy Spirit, we are transposed into the spiritual tools that God created us to be. Remember again, the book of James is the instruction manual for the rebuilding and reformatting of the believer's soul. Our spirits were given new life upon belief. Our souls are under construction during this lifetime, and our bodies will be redeemed at the resurrection. You might look at it as this lifetime as your own personal salvage operation. The real you, your soul, is being saved or modified for God's use, and it's happening moment by moment. Don't let this statement scare you. Remember, the word saved simply means delivered, and depends on the context of each passage to clarify what particular salvage operation is being undertaken. In the book of James, the topic is the resuscitation of the human soul. Christ purchased you back from Satan's power and influence, and now is reprocessing your being for his use in this world. It is critical at this point that you fully understand this passage in context. When a person puts their faith in the finished work of Christ on the cross, their eternal destination is sealed forever. But while their destination is settled, their destiny, their personal ministry and purpose in life is not. The process of changing attitudes and behaviors is the lifelong process we call sanctification. This is the end of Session 7.